Welcome back to the Gallagher Shots YouTube channel. My name is Matthew, and thank you for being here for another episode of Beyond the Lines. It's the show where we get an opposition supporter's view when it comes to previewing Newcastle's next game. And on Saturday at 8 o'clock, it's the Carl Court Classic, ladies and gentlemen. And to help me preview that game of Wolves at home, I'm joined by a contributor to the Wolves FanCast. It's the beautiful, it's the brilliant, it's Dan. How are you doing, mate?
Nice one. Thanks for the invite. It's the politest thing anyone said to me this calendar year so far. I'm happy with that.
That's all right. I mean, I messed up Carl Court's name, so apologies for that. I know he's a legend to you guys and to Newcastle fans as well. So sorry, Carl Court, if you're watching. Obviously,
wherever he may be.
Wherever he may be, yes. There's actually a building down in Torquay called Carl Court, which is a random fact for you there. But we digress.
After lockdown, we'll meet for a pint there.
Yeah, we'll go down to Torquay and we'll have a pint at Carl Court. So Newcastle play Wolves on Saturday, mate. Obviously here for your expert opinion on our opposition. Speak about Wolves' season so far. Coming out of a little bit of a sketchy patch of no wins in 8, but now you've just took 10 out of your possible 12 points. How would you rate Wolves' season so far?
Well, to try and sum it up in sort of a few seconds, it's been, to me, deflating, but just because of the way the world's been, the way that the recruitment was in the summer, I think we're round about where we need to be at the moment. It's been, like you said, it's been a bit sketchy recently. I don't think we've fully come out the back end of that. I know we've got sort of 10 out of the last 12 points, but performances have only slightly improved in the last couple of games. We had a bit of fortune on our side with our win over Arsenal and the own goal by Meslier from the Leeds goalkeeper in the last game. Hopefully we can show the same sort of intent going forward, attacking wise against you guys on Saturday, and then try and push on. There's still a lot of points to play for this season, so I'm not writing us off finishing just outside the Europa places if we can get a good bit of momentum behind us.
Well, you certainly have the personnel, mate, just from the outside looking in. But one big part of that personnel is Raul Jimenez. And obviously you got a big injury to him a good few games ago. A player like that to a squad like Wolves is always going to be a miss, but did you expect him to have him being missing have such a big impact?
It's like what I say, any sort of striker of that calibre, any team in the top half of the Premier League well, most teams in the world will miss a calibre striker like that. It just shows how reliant we were on him, to be honest. I know we've sold like Mac Doherty and Diogo Jota to like Liverpool and Tottenham for Doherty, so we have missed their goal contributions this season a massive lot. But I think it's just been more noticeable with the way that we play, how well Raul shields the ball, links up play for the rest of our midfield. He has been a massive miss. Obviously, we spent massive on Fabio Silva. We brought Willian Jose in January, and those two, as well as they've tried and persevered. It just hasn't worked well for them at the moment. So yeah, Raul's back in light training, so hopefully he'll be back before the end of the season. But just whenever he's ready, we're just happy that he's come out the other side fit and healthy.
Yeah. I mean, that's the main important thing. It wasn't a nasty injury, but hopefully we'll see him back on the pitch sooner rather than later. I mean, you did mention a player there that I was going to mention later on, and that's that record sign Fabio Silva. Amongst all the Portugal connection jokes and all that, you've went and splashed £35 million on a sort of unproven but an uncut diamond, some would say. He's been thrown into the squad with the injury to Jimenez. What have you made of him so far, and do you think you have to give him a lot of time?
Yeah, the transfer fee's been a massive burden on the lad, because you can tell by glimpses of his positioning, his anticipation of where he needs to be in the box, that he's going to be a talent in the future. From a Wolves fan point of view, it's massively disappointing spending that sort of money on an unproven player when you see the likes of like Man City, Man United, who spend that sort of money on young players, a sort of luxury player sort of thing. Wolves fans, we're still a bit disgruntled that we've spent that sort of money on an unproven striker, but I think that's just the way that our club is run now. We're obviously owned by Chinese billionaire investment companies, so they're seeing more into the future now, which Wolves fans want to see, players that come in and improve the starting 11 straight away if you're going to spend that sort of money on a player. But he's definitely a talent. We just got to be patient with him, and hopefully he can learn from Raul in the meantime.
Well, if you want to feel any better, Dan, I mean, you could have spent £5 million more on Joe Linton. So, £40 million Joe Linton, £35 million Fabio Silva,
Yeah, I mean, goal Linton still could come good.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think your ownership, recruitment, I'm sure we could spend hours upon hours picking out the flaws of their mistakes, but I think they sort of judged him on Firmino both being Brazilian and at Hoffenheim, didn't they? And just hasn't really come off, has it? And obviously losing Callum Wilson to injury recently is just another nail in your coffin. I mean, I ain't no doubt Stevie B is going to take you down the way it's going at the moment, and it's unfortunate really for your fans.
Yeah. I mean, the less said about that, the better. I mean, it's nice to hear someone with a neutral opinion being able to see what direction we're going instead of just telling us that we should be thankful to have Steve.
Yeah, I don't want to sort of put a smoke screen on it. Fulham are coming into form. They've got a bit of momentum behind them. Losing Callum Wilson was a massive blow. I mean, we sort of touched on it to a degree. Like, I want footballers that can come into our starting 11 straight away and improve us. In hindsight, I wish Wolves would have spent the money on sort of a striker like Callum Wilson in the summer.
Yeah.
Obviously, his injury history has come back to haunt him again now. But massive blow for you guys, that.
Yeah, huge miss, mate. One more player I'll touch on. Wolves, like I said, have a really good squad. You've got Connor Cody there, England international. Neto's been playing well. You've got Johnny who's came back into the side. But one player who gets a lot of attention, who's never lifted a weight in his life, is Adama Traore, mate. And I'd love to hear what your opinion as a Wolves supporter is of that player.
It's tough one, isn't it? I think the fan base generally still a bit torn on the fella. I mean, unplayable at times, definitely a uncut diamond, but no goals, no assists in the Premier League this season. I don't think even the fancy Premier League gave Adama the assist from the Meslier goal on last weekend. So I mean, for the sort of money that he was being touted last summer, no goals and no assists is a bit. Can I swear?
Underwhelming.
We'll go with underwhelming. Yeah, for a player of his caliber and just unique traits that he has, because you see like the dribbling stats, he is up there, one of the best ball carriers in the world at the moment. But obviously going back to Raul, missing him up front, having that focal point in the box for him to put crosses in, he's been massively missing this season. But he is still relatively young. I think he's only 24, maybe 25 now. So he has still got a lot of ability to gain, but he needs to start getting some assists and goals to his name.
Yeah, it's a bit of a strange one. I think people felt that when he went to Wolves, he started bringing goals and assists to his game. Saw a glimpse of what he could do at Middlesbrough. He was touted as a good talent when he went to Villa. Didn't really do much there, but I mean, I'd have him in my squad, with bells on, but that's not really saying something as a Newcastle supporter. But he is a bit of a maverick then, and like you said, he's just the goals and the assists have dried up for him. Speaking of rough spells, though, we mentioned that you went through a rough spell. You've came out of it now. You're still not playing necessarily brilliantly, but you're still picking up points. As a Wolves fan, what's the general consensus on Nuno? Is he still the man to take you forward? Is he being afforded a lot of time because of what he's done with the club?
Yeah, I mean, he has earned a lot of grace. The fan base, I'm talking directly about myself here, is thick and fickle when it comes to Nuno. Massively, I'm one of the main culprits for it. I'm very bipolar when it comes to Wolves, which I think a lot of football fans generally are with their football club. When you win 2 or 3 on the bounce, you think Europe's back on the cards. You lose 2 or 3 on the bounce, and you think the world's at the end, and the end is nice, sort of thing. He's had it tough now. Obviously, we were in the Europa deep into last season, so we never really had a pre-season this season. Losing Jota and Doherty was a massive blow. As I mentioned before, recruitment incomings hasn't been great. He has earned a lot of grace. Going back to being fickle, myself, I'm not sure he's the man long term to take us forward. But I'm really hope he can prove me wrong. I think he's really good at setting us up to get results against the big teams with our counter-attacking style. But over a 38-game season, I'm not sure he's the guy who can make us break into that top 6/top 4 like our owners were touting when we were riding our highs.
Yeah, I mean, could go for Steve Bruce, mate. He knows the area. He knows the area well. You know, he plays attacking football.
There's just, I mean, when we got relegated in 2010-11, I think it was, he was sort of being touted to take over from Mick McCarthy, and the fans made it pretty much clear that he wasn't welcome, because I think he was pretty much nailed on to have the job. And I think through sort of social media and forums back then as it was, the owners went a different route and ended up giving it to Terry Connor, which was even worse.
Well, is he the one who managed at the end of that season when you went down? Was that correct?
I think his first game was at St James's Park. You guys were 2-0 up. We pulled it back to 2-2, and that was his highest moment as Wolves manager. The rest was just catastrophic defeat after defeat.
Well, I was actually, you've led me nicely into my next little part there, mate. Usually before we preview the game, I always ask the guest if they have any certain memories about this fixture. I mean, and that was one of mine. I'll always remember that was the season we finished fifth under Alan Pardew. Had the likes of Demba Ba, Papa Cisse, Kabay, Tiote, God rest them. And, I remember being that game. We were 2-0 up not long after the obligatory Jonas goal against you guys. Jonas Gutierrez scored plenty of goals against Wolves. He came back, and I think you were unlucky not to win that game. Is there any other games that pop into your head when it comes to Newcastle Wolves?
I've always had a soft spot for Newcastle in general. I was born late 80s, so the 90s were like my prime years of watching football. So you guys in the mid 90s with like a Spria, flipping, Ginola, Lauren Robert, Nobby Solano. Obviously, those players I always liked watching when I was growing up. I was looking at our sort of previous games before we came on, and 8 draws out of 11 Premier League games between us. So, I mean, there isn't really that many that sort of stand out. But the one that stands out for me is when we beat you guys 3-2 in the FA Cup in 2003, our playoff promotion season. Another game that we were... Say again?
Did you have the likes of Ince playing that game?
Ince scored that day. Ince scored. Lescott gave a penalty away. Shearer scored from.
Yeah, well.
We were 2-0 up. You pulled it back to 2-2. George and Dar scored the winner. Craig Bellamy's coming off at the end of the game, pointing to the Premier League badge.
God.
We ended up getting past that season. Yeah, proper classic FA Cup game it was. It was, that's a nice highlight against you guys. But I said, a lot of draws.
I have another one written down. I remember a 4-1 at home. I remember last game of the season. That was another one where Jonas scored a decent goal. But then I remember was it not early doors in the Rafa Benitez Championship era where you came to St James's Park and got all 3 points? Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah, that was my one and only time I've been to St James's Park. So yeah, it was worth the. I'm only 5'3". It was worth the journey. I'm walking up them away stairs because it's a marathon for me being that size, walking up them away end.
Oh, mate, well, I mean, you're one of many to complain about that, mate. But I think was it 2-0 that game? 2-0?
2-0, yeah. What's his name? Was it Mbemba on goal?
Yeah, might have been, yeah. And then
Mbemba on goal, and Helder Costa got the second.
Helder Costa, don't know why I said Caballero there, different player. Yeah, Helder Costa's goal was pretty good. I remember him cutting in and scoring that. And that was when everyone told us that Rafa Benitez didn't know the Championship and we were never going to go up under him. What did they know?
Yeah, well, so you had Rafa then. We had the charismatic Walter Zenga in our dugout then, and he was mad. He was mad.
Crazy.
But those were the sort of the away days. He gave us 2 big away days before he got sacked. We beat Birmingham City in a local derby, and we beat you guys 2-0. That's all he was really remembered for, apart from being just chaotic.
Well, fair play, Walter Zenga. Don't think many people have said them words before. So we'll move on to Saturday, mate. As you've said, you're in okay form. Starting to find your scoring touch again. Newcastle United are the complete opposite. We might have scored a couple of goals in the last few games, but we are sinking like a stone. Missing our top striker. Don't have anyone to replace him. You must be pretty confident going into this one.
Yeah, but being sort of the pessimistic Wolves fan that I am, it's got another draw in all over it, I think.
Yeah.
We've become a bit more solid defensively in the last sort of few games because obviously we've gone back to a back five instead of the back four that we were playing. But we just, apart from sort of the Southampton game, we have just been struggling to create good chances throughout 90 minutes. Obviously, there was an own goal against Leeds. We had a penalty at Southampton. Then we had a wonder goal from Pedro Neto away to Southampton.
Yeah.
So we're sort of struggling to create clear-cut chances. That's why the new signing, William Jose's looked a bit demoralised the last couple of games because he's working hard, linking up play, but he's just not getting the service. We're sort of relying heavily on the ingenuity of Adama and Pedro Neto at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can have all the problems you want. I mean, William Jose will probably score at the weekend. Such as the way Newcastle are, we're very charitable when it comes to people who are needing goals, and so I wouldn't be surprised if he scores a goal at the weekend. I mean, if I could press you for a prediction, what would you go for, scoreline wise?
Yeah, I mean, on our recent podcast, I went for Wolves 1-0. I think I mean, if I had to bet, I'd be betting on a draw, but my faith tells me Wolves 1-0. I think it'll be one of our defenders that gets the winner, I think.
Probably be Willy Bolly or someone like that.
Oh, yeah, you love him, don't you? You guys love Willy Bolly.
Yeah, it'll probably be Willy Bolly. But the less said about Willy Bolly,
he's injured. He's injured. You're lucky. He's completely out.
He'll still score. It's Newcastle. He'll still score, mate. He'll let one in from the RBI. It'll be fine. It'll be good.
Straight last minute sub out of nowhere.
Yeah. But anyway, mate, I just want to thank you for coming on. Pleasure to speak to you. I wish you luck for Saturday, but I wouldn't mean it at all. But chances are you're probably going to get results. But thanks for that, Dan. Like I said, Wolves FanCast. Thank you for coming on. For everyone else, thank you very much for watching. If you're watching, please like the video, please share the video, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Gallagher Shots YouTube channel.